This week, it's the new Deepal S07. And to open the frunk is 2 pulls of the lever inside. Don't pull it once and then try and find a lever under here because there isn't one. The space in here is absolutely enormous. I mean, it's only a little tiny bit away from being able to take a spare. I mean, it's just huge. It's 125 litres. The headlights are particularly interesting with that little 3-leaf clover effect. The side profile, aided and abetted by frameless windows. And these door handles, they're pop-out ones. Now you can program them not to pop out, in which case you just press this end and this end will flick out. This car's just received a 5-star ANCAP rating, and those things will unlock after an accident. The rear is handsome. Again, here's the 3-leaf clover. The door open button is over here, which opens to an absolutely enormous boot. There's just some emergency things, a triangle, pump kit and so forth, which you hope you'll never ever need. This has only got a year's worth of roadside protection, so you might want to take that up. Getting into the rear is really easy. Hardly had to duck at all. This is a very nice place. Now overhead, got this enormous sunroof that is full width and full length, but I've only got it partially open because it's 40 degrees today. It's a real stinker. There's another zone of climate control. Oh, that's better. You can move the front seat from here in the back. And then this one is for the light shade overhead, which I'm not going to use. Have a look at how much knee room there is. This feels absolutely huge. And that's what you can do with an electric car. You can put an engine at the front, engine at the back, and all of the space inside is for people rather than bits of oily stuff. And I like that. It also means that the floor is flat, which adds to the sense of space. So you could actually fit 3 across this seat, though it would be a little on the tight side. You've got some mat pockets in the front. There's speakers all over the place. Some genuine fake artificial wood trim. This, by the way, is how you open the door, and this is the window. And then there's the upholstery, which I actually think looks pretty good in the orange, which is very sports car-esque. In this case, they've gone for the much safer black. There's been a little bit of controversy. There are people that don't like the interior of this car. I think it looks great. There's a couple of things to note. It's much easier to see in the orange, but we don't have the orange. This big screen, it tilts either to face the driver or the passenger or the middle. And this button is meant, there you go. I've got these buttons programmed to do certain things, and I noticed this morning when I came down to the car, some of the functions hadn't been saved. So I think I saved it properly, but it's so hard to know. The other thing is, the radio is not immediately obvious, but it's a swipe down and you've got to go into that to do it. That's settings, etc., etc. Distraction warning, let's turn that off. Speeding alert, turn that off. The distraction alert, that's another thing, I'll tell you about that later. There's more settings here, and it's for everything. I'm not even going to go into it. Air conditioning controls are here. Now I've currently got these, you can see this is half of an orange interior. You can have both levels orange. You can have the vents set so that they waft backwards and forwards, which is what I've got these doing. As I said, it is a pretty hot day. I'm trying to find temperature somewhere and I can't see it anywhere. I don't know. I really don't know. There's some shortcuts here across the bottom and you can change those. I really just want one for the bloody radio so I can turn the radio on without having to go in and do that or go to CarPlay. It's annoying. You can program these buttons for some of those things, but it doesn't seem to have been working brilliantly for me. This does have a built-in dash cam, which I like. I haven't actually tried to view any of the footage yet, but think of it as some of the Tesla videos that you've seen. There's a wireless phone charger down yonder, a couple of cup holders, and a nice big, and I do mean big, centre bin. It's got a fan outlet inside, so there's cold air in here, and there's a second level of storage here under the center console. Acceleration is leisurely. Let me just get that up. I've still got this in sport mode, so I've got the full benefit of 160 blistering kilowatts. It's a rear wheel drive, so the engine is in the back. Steering is, there's no feeling. There's no feeling in the steering. It is what I would call neutral. This doesn't have any active suspension, so it's relying on good old-fashioned tuning. The other interesting thing is that you may think that Deepal has followed Tesla's lead and not had any driver instruments. That's not a driver instrument, by the way. That's the annoying thing that is constantly watching me to make sure I'm not playing up. See that big hole in the front? That is the head-up display projector that is projecting a very wide field of instruments right in front of me. Now, I've got this augmented with the navigation controls. So in addition to having normal readouts, it's got these big blue arrows that come across if I'm using the car's inbuilt navigation. The sound system is absolutely sensational. It's this control thing that I've got a bit of a problem with. You haven't got the full flexibility to put the things into shortcuts that really you should be able to. For example, the radio doesn't scroll between favorites. It scrolls between stations, but it doesn't have a favorites section. One thing I did notice, and we'll be on the highway in a minute, is when you turn full self-driving or full intelligent cruise control on, most of the bongs vanish. Now, I've noticed that my regeneration braking has turned off. I didn't turn it off, it's just turned off. I don't know why, and I can't remember where it is because I'm old and feeble. I can't remember where it is in the instructions. I've turned on smart cruise control. For some reason, it brakes. I don't know why it brakes. It brakes. It doesn't seem to like. Steering is kind of doing its own thing, and I can see that the lanes are marked out up in the windscreen display. I'm not in love. I'm not in love with this system. The steering seems to take me, it favours the left-hand side of the road. I don't like the left-hand side of the road. And I noticed that when I was doing that on the way up, every time I corrected the steering to be where I want in the lane, not where it wants, the cruise control would temporarily disable, and because I had regenerative braking active, it would start to brake. Now, because I am old and feeble and can't remember where any of these controls are, this entire menu system seems to be not very good. And also, some of the menus collapse, so if you don't have one thing active and it's the top tier of the menu, the rest of the stuff in the menu disappears. I don't like that because I may not know what I'm looking for. I may not know that it's part of another menu. When you don't have, even though I've turned everything off, when you don't have the smart cruise control active, you still get warnings if you wander too close to the lane marking, which would be fine. It's just that that's where I want to be. This cruise control is spotty, to say the least. It's set for 100, but it was doing 90. It slowed down for no good reason that I could see. The other thing that I've noticed is that once you've had the cruise control off, pressing the resume button only resumes normal control, doesn't resume smart cruise control. For that, you've got to double tap on the wand again. I find the controls on this car extremely confusing. And despite having turned it off, I don't know why I'm still getting attention warnings. And don't give me any of that nonsense about, well, I should be paying. I am paying attention. I mean, I'm looking at the road and I'm looking around to see what's happening around me, just as I was taught to. But this thing thinks I shouldn't be doing that. And it's the most annoying tone in the world, and it's like many of the other tones. And I don't understand what it's telling me. Of course I've got the cruise control silenced. I can't imagine having that talking at me as well. Then I want to get on to price and range. There's only the one, this one, the S07. It comes in just one trim level. Then we come to price. It's a smidgen over 52,000, which drive away is around 58,000 in New South Wales. It's doing 94. Why is it doing 94? There's no one in front of me. To wind up, we've got 160 kilowatts of power through the back wheels. We've got an 80-ish kilowatt hour battery. We've got reasonably fast charging. I think the ride is reasonably good considering, but I do not like the driver assistance. Well, that's it this week from the Deepal. To be honest, it's a bit of a mixed bag. It's a great car, ruined by too much technology, in my opinion. Anyway, hit like, leave a comment, and just over there to subscribe.